Forests, fjords, mountains, an endless coastline, and a vibrant indigenous culture. New Zealand is a beautiful and pristine place, and its people want to keep it that way. This is a small country with a big dream to become the world's first sustainable nation. I'm Art Wolfe. This is Travels to the Edge. In the Southwest Pacific, 1,200 miles east of Australia, lies the isolated nation of New Zealand. Surrounded by the Pacific Ocean and the Tasman Sea, New Zealand is comprised of 2 large islands and numerous small ones. To its indigenous people, the Maori, is known as Aotearoa, land of the long white cloud. New Zealand's striking beauty is central to its identity. Here, Maori people consider themselves guardians of the land, sea, plants, and animals. I'm having a lot of fun here. It takes a while to kind of get in sync with the subject. Here on the human body, there's so much detail and beauty. I'm really playing to that. Originally, Maori tattooing known as tamoko was chiseled into the skin using an albatross bone. The practice is sacred, a way of inscribing an individual's history on his face.
For us, moko goes back to the beginning of time, really. We have a history and a set body of knowledge that talks about the origins of moko.
It symbolises my lineage through my mother's genealogy to myself and through my father's genealogy. And this here depicts the breath of life passing through into the nostrils from where mankind received the breath of life from the creator Io.
We tie it back to the gods. The god that in particular that was the guardian of this art form is also the god of earthquakes. So what it's saying for me is the history of moko and the tradition of moko especially goes back to the land. When you look at the land from on high and you can see valleys and crevices, it's the same God that creates earthquakes and moves the place around that gives what we call Papatūānuku, Mother Earth, her moko.
A lot of the spirals are taken from the tree fern, what we call the koru pattern. It has to do with regeneration of life or the beginning of life. All the symbols are very positive symbols. We don't have negative symbols in our artwork.
All our patterns are taken from nature. If not nature, the ideas of movement, concepts of duality, male and female elements. Most of our patterns are rooted inside an esoteric body of knowledge.
On my lower lip here, there's a double koru pattern, and it symbolises the mangopare, which is the Maori name for the hammerhead shark. It's used in moko as a sign of tenacity. And it's to enhance your abilities to protect and to defend. I'm really proud to wear a mark of my ancestors.
The reverence the Maori feel for the land and the sea is now being shared by its European, or Pakeha, culture. Here, no point of land is farther than 80 miles from the water. The ocean and this wild, pristine coastline is at the heart of New Zealand's identity. This is where the Tasman Sea meets the land. This is where also hundreds and hundreds of Australasian gannets come to nest. These are beautiful, graceful birds of the sea. They only come ashore once a year, and that's during the breeding season. Some of the adults are actually courting each other. These birds fly with effortless grace and beauty. When the birds come in and they nearly land on their rookery, they take off, and then I can isolate these birds against this beautiful backdrop of the water. It's a very clean but elegant shot. As graceful as they are over the water, when they're on the land, they're very clumsy birds. So they kind of walk around like chickens getting to their nest. Some crash literally onto their nest. And when they take off and they unfurl their 6-foot wings, then suddenly this ugly duckling turns into a graceful albatross. As in most roadless areas, the best way to get into the backcountry is by chopper. And the views en route to Franz Josef Glacier are stunning. I've done a lot of flights over mountains, but these are so precipitous. They're so new and razor sharp, it takes my breath away. When you look down atop a glacier and you see the rhythm of these fractures, it's actually like waves coming into an ocean. They're so uniform. Joining me is Peter Hayden, one of New Zealand's most respected naturalists and documentary filmmakers.
We have over 100 glaciers here in New Zealand, and this is one of 2 that flow down on the west side and down into the forest.
The dynamics of this glacier starts with the flow. Up high, it's just a very benign snowfield, but as it starts to gain volume, it starts to slide downhill. And when it comes over a very steep hillside, it's known as an icefall. It's broken up. It's full of what they call seracs.
We'll be getting some ice caves around here, and they will be spectacular.
The Himalayan tahr, an introduced species, is a wild goat that has adapted to life down under. Pretty spectacular to see these 2 animals adroitly picking their way through this jumble of ice and seracs, which is a very dangerous environment, but they just seem to negotiate all the oblique angles and the steep ice without a problem. Wow. This is a beautiful ice cave. Let's explore. This is beautiful. The texture inside this ice cave is such a difference from the outside, which is very hard angles. Here, within this glacier, it's been worn down by the wind and the rain, and it's very, very soft and elegant. Very translucent, and that's what I'm really trying to get with these shots. A sense of the ice, the way the light refracts through it, and this huge translucent ice cube that I'm walking through. This is pretty amazing country to be flying over. There's a peacefulness up here as the clouds cloak these young mountains. Milford Sound is the gateway to Fiordland, one of the most beautiful and wild regions in the southern hemisphere. These dramatic fjords were carved by massive glaciers and then flooded by a rising sea. From up here, it's remarkable to see so many waterfalls dropping over the rugged cliffs into the sea below. Pretty spectacular environment here, Peter.
Yeah, Milford Sound, Piu Piu Tahi, known to the Maoris.
This is unbelievable. These are very high mountains that are just plunging into the salt water.
The scale is amazing. It's almost 5,000 feet. Some of them are over 5,000 feet. And then below the surface, another 1,000 feet. So they're 6,000 feet straight up, almost vertical. It's sensational.
Well, it's gonna rain, children. God's gonna send the water from Zion. He's gonna raise his heaven up higher. It's gonna rain, it's gonna rain. Well, it's gonna rain, children. God's gonna send the water from Zion. He's gonna raise his heaven up higher. It's gonna rain, well, it's gonna rain.
The Maoris have a good name for this country. It's called Aotearoa, the land of the long white cloud. And clouds mean rain, and that's what we're getting today. We're under the long white cloud. Southwest New Zealand is the greatest wilderness in the Southern Hemisphere, without a doubt. 1/10 of New Zealand is wrapped up in this huge World Heritage Site. 1/3 of the whole country has been protected. That's the highest percentage in the world.
Peter, where does the spirit of conservation originate?
It begins with the Maori people, and they have a really nice concept. It's called kaitiakitanga. And that means, I can't fully explain it, but the closest I can get is guardianship. It means that we're part of nature, and because we have an intelligence, we have a spirit, we have a responsibility to look after not just the green things, but all the animals and all the insects that live in it, and not just for our children, but it's kind of for all time. And it's not because we stand above it, it's because we are part of it.
I want to show you what I saw on this last trip. It's a spectacular entrance to Milford Sound. I mean, as you come in around the bend and suddenly there's that waterfall just hanging on that wall. Look at that.
Oh, wow. Just a tiny piece of the Ice Age there, I think. Oh, that's a good one.
This is great. Right now, a heron has just landed at its nest, and its two babies are begging for food, and it's very, very dynamic with their brilliant white plumage. As they're landing, for a couple seconds, their wings are flapping up and down, and every feather in their wing is really clearly delineated. And it's so graphic and very, very artistic. Amongst these beautiful white herons is the strange and striking royal spoonbill, aptly named because of the way their beak is shaped. These birds are really animated. And I've got one down here grabbing vegetation right on the river's edge. Now, did I understand it that the Maori have a connection with these birds?
Yes, amazing connection. To call someone the kutuku, which is the name of the heron, the Maori name, is like a special friend that you haven't seen for a long time. And the other thing that the Maori revere them for is because they've seen them spreading north after the breeding season, and they have taken that as the harbinger of death, and they will actually accompany the spirit of the dead person. It's the long flight, taking the spirit of the dead to the very north of New Zealand. Then they go across the sea to the ancient homeland of Hawaii.
To the east of the Southern Alps, the air gets drier, the skies get wider, and the views get bigger. This is classic New Zealand sheep country. This is such a symbolic scene in New Zealand. There's way more sheep than there are people. And so set out here in these open grassy slopes with the backdrop of the Alps, in one image, it says New Zealand. There are approximately 34 million sheep in New Zealand, far outnumbering the 4 million Kiwis who also live here. This shepherd tends his flock of merino sheep, which produces the finest wool in the world. What's the objective of moving these sheep around?
Well, the idea is they're up here for 3 or 4 months. They're eating all this rough grass. Grass is getting down in quality, so we move them onto another block with better quality grass. And we'll keep on doing that until we take them home and take them lambs off the mothers. Without the dogs, on this high country up here, you'd have to have 20 or 30 men. So, the more dogs you have, the less men you need to move the stock.
This is a stunning location to be photographing these sheep and the sheepdogs, moving the flock right down in front of this wild landscape. Oh, this is nice. Not only sheep, but the kea, an alpine parrot, thrives in this high country. They have beautiful plumage, with each feather clearly outlined with a dark band. The beak is so strong, it could easily take off a finger. They're curious, they're inquisitive, they often hang out around people because they want to play with rubber, they want to investigate anything shiny. It's just an extraordinarily beautiful bird. Hey guys, you want to be part of a picture? We're doing a story on New Zealand and you guys would be such perfect subjects. Very cool. Hey, you. Nope. That's a close-up. They're always up to no good. This is exactly what I was hoping to get. This is a classic New Zealand beech forest. These trees are twisted by the winds and then cloaked with moss and lichens. It creates a really fanciful landscape in this beautiful forest. Looking at the highest peak in all of New Zealand, Mount Cook. It's so beautiful and the winds are so calm that there's a perfect reflection. One of the things you notice as you travel throughout New Zealand is how pristine it is. I'm really trying to capture the essence of the place. The rhythm of the river really is intoxicating, and in many ways it frees up my mind to really respond just on a elemental artistic level. The texture of these high altitude forests are amazing. The rocks, the trees, the ground are virtually covered in a carpet of lichens and mosses. One of my favorite shots right here is of two trees overlapping each other with a rock in the background. The rock is covered in mosses in soft light. The trunks of the trees in the foreground are almost camouflaged by the layering of huge fungus and mosses and lichens, and so it becomes a very abstract world. New Zealand's desire to be a sustainable nation is not new. It's the essence of the Maori view of life, which sees humans as deeply connected to the natural world. Blaine Terito, a renowned Maori artist, explains. The Maori have a great concept of caring for the land.
Kaitiakitanga? The concept comes because when the world was created, when our sky father was separated from the earth mother, their children undertook creating certain elements of the natural world. We're one of them. So we see a tree and a rock and an insect as part of our family. We all come from the same ancestry. The kaitiakitanga is to take care of not only your mortal family, your physical human family, but also the family in the waters, the family in the forest and in the trees. So if you wanted to use a tree for carving, it would be like taking the life of a cousin. And so there's a ritual and there's karaki or there's a protocol that you go through to ask permission to remove the tree, to take the tree's life. When I'm required to create a new art piece, I either need to be near the sea or in the forest or in the bush like this. It pays just to sit and not think of anything. If you just open your mind and things will happen. I don't know, maybe it's the spirit coming through and urging you to think that way.
The people of New Zealand clearly have a deep connection with their environment. They know they live in a beautiful part of the world, and their efforts to preserve these islands just may offer a pathway for us all to follow. I'm Art Wolfe. Join me next time on Travels to the Edge.
This program and other episodes from this season are available on 3-episode discs for $17.95 each, plus shipping and handling. An award-winning book of Art Wolfe's landscapes featured in this series and beyond, Edge of the Earth, Corner of the Sky, is available for $49.95 plus shipping and handling. To order the book or DVDs, please call 1-800-440-2651.
Here are 3 of my favorite images from this episode. To learn more about this episode and how these images were produced, please visit artwolf.com.